What's up everyone, I'm James the Tie Guy, and today we have something pretty cool to take a look at. This is from the Black Series Force of X line, and this is the first order Z6 Riot Baton. This is a 1-to-1 scaled replica, so it's touted as being the exact same size as the one that we've seen used in the movie by Finn and FM2199, or otherwise known as Trader. This is something that is coming out from various retailers right now. Entertainment Earth, I've seen some of them being delivered. This one came from Amazon. I pre-ordered it a while back and it shipped last Sunday. I was able to get it for its retail price. It's not on there currently, besides from third-party retailers who are marking the price up on it, but it's supposed to retail for $1.99. I have, for comparison, since this is a 1-to-1 replica, I have a $29.99 Blade Builders version here. So as you can see, it's quite a bit smaller. This, is definitely a toy. This is a toy in the toy category, but we know it's actually, a lot more than that really, as reflected by its price and its size. So this one here, I've seen some people, do some pretty neat things with, but this one is definitely going to be the one that you go for if you want realism, something to display or even cosplay with. So the primary goal of my review is to basically show you the features of this, try to give you all the info that I can to decide if this is worth spending the 200 plus tax that this costs, because there's some controversy around it. It's more expensive than any of the lightsabers that have come out before it, and it's a lot of people are just saying it's not worth it. So I'm going to try to get from a build quality, is it worth it? And then, value is subjective, so is it worth it to you? And who would it be most valuable to? So first off, we'll take a look at its overall aesthetics. You've got the handle here. This is all metal. Really probably one of the only metal parts on it, besides this bit back here, which is where the batteries go, which I'll show you. I do like the fact that this screws off and the batteries go in it. So there's no cap or no plate to have to remove that's held in by screws. The screw holes on it are actually very minimal. I'll show you in a minute, but they did a pretty good job here of making it as seamless as they could to make it just look like one piece, which I like that fact. The prongs here, they are plastic. Now I wish, that's fine, I expected them to be plastic, but I wish they were maybe a more solid build than they are. It's probably the cheapest looking part of it would be those. This button here, you press it once. If you press it down ever so slightly with the safety on, which is this, the lights will engage. That's display mode. It will engage all these red lights here on both sides. They will stay on for at least 30 minutes and then go off by themselves. It also makes the sound stay off, so that is what they call in manual display mode. I'll see if I can demonstrate it here, and that actually leads me to a problem. The safety on this thing does not work for me. It's supposed to only extend when the safety's off, which is flipped up, and then whenever you put it back in place, the prongs back in place, it's supposed to go back into position. But the problem is, it does that, but it doesn't stop the blades from coming out. I can press this ever so slightly to get it to go into display mode, but if you're press it just a little too hard, the prongs just fly out. So if you got it like I did, like up on a shelf, I did that and it took me by surprise. The prongs flew out. It knocked down a couple of autographed pictures I had. Nothing broke, but just fair warning, I've spoken to another person who has this, and they're having some similar issues. So I'm not sure if it's just few units or if it's all of them, but the spring mechanism in the prong seems to be a little bit iffy on. I'm just not really happy with the design of it. These flip out whenever you turn it on. This flips out one way, this flips out in the opposite, each prong. I wish it just did more like this one, which these just slide out like this, and then you just kind of can let gravity do its thing whenever you want to put it back into place. There we go. I wish that's how this one operated, because that is how the one from The Force Awakens works. If you watch the video, whenever he yells traitor, he slams it down, they slide out just like that. These, whenever you want to turn them off, you actually have to manually get it, and I'll try to demonstrate it, and press in on both sides and then flip them down one by one, and it's not great for like cosplayers, especially if they're in costume. If they had just maybe designed it somehow to where they slide into place, it would look not only better on the ignition of the weapon, but you could just let gravity do its thing and slide them back into place. So I'm going to try and turn it on now, and hopefully these things don't go flying out. It's just hit and miss if it does it, but if it does, there's not much here to break. So that is it on. You see these lights here. Now I guarantee you if I was to press that any harder than I just did, these things would come flying out. Like it 9 times out of 10 it does it. The stand that it's on, it's okay. It's not the best made because these here, they don't really click into place that well. So sometimes it's prone to falling over. When you take it out, this might fall out. This in the front, that stays there. This in the back, you have another one that is taller than this, which allows you to display in this mode or with the prongs extended, which is nice. You know, in that respect, it's nice because the prongs go out and makes the front go up a little bit. So this this other piece that you get lets the back prop up just a little bit more, so it looks even. The sound comes out right here. The speaker is pretty good. It's not the loudest, but you can still hear it. It sounds good if you're the one actually using it, but if you're more than a few feet away, you're not going to hear a lot of it. When you're using it, it responds to motion fairly well. If you press this button, it makes a noise. So if you're trying to do the spin move from The Force Awakens that the Stormtrooper does, you can do it because this metal here is really polished, so it will slide in your hand. But to time this just right to where it makes the noise like it's engaging, you've got to kind of do it a few times to get it right. I have a video of it, and I'll try and link it or put it in this review video like somewhere so you can see it. And also at the end of this video, I'll put a few pictures of it that I took in a slideshow, so you can kind of get a better idea of how it looks from different angles. So if we pick it up, you can see it's got a nice size. It really does. It's realistic. It's 30 or 20, I believe I measured it at 21 inches long, so it's almost 3 feet long. So I watched the scene from The Force Awakens, and as far as I can tell, it matches up to that claim that it's a 1/1 scale replica. Right here, you've got the batteries. This right here comes off. And before I do that, this there's lights under here. They're really dim. You really can't ever see them unless you have it in this view, because when it's to the side, you can't see them. So I don't really know why they're there. I guess just to be realistic, I just wish they were brighter, because under normal use, you have no clue that they're there. You really just literally have to look at it head on, which it's held like that. So I don't really get that part, but if you take that off, this is metal, this piece here, along with this. So it's got a nice weight to it. But this piece, and this in here, and then the handle, screws in it, those are the only actual metal pieces on it. The rest is just plastic. So this just comes out like this. 3 AA's is what it takes to power it. And then when you put it back in there, there's just that groove you see. There's this groove here, and it has that yellow arrow. Lines up, put it back in, and you're good to go now. There we go. So you've got these prongs here. They're alright. The thing is, and I've confirmed this with somebody else who has this, if you want to engage it perfectly, like standing like this, it's fine. If you hold it up like that, it engages okay. But if you want to do the whole thing like in the movie and just kind of do it like in a downward motion and engage it, every single time I've tried that, and every single time the other person that I was talking to tried it, this prong here will flip out and it will angle itself like to this bit. It doesn't ever line up properly, and I'm not sure why. It's almost like something doesn't catch in the spring, or it's just too strong and it goes too far. If you're doing it up here, it does okay because it's got a flat gravity. If you're doing it outward, it does okay. But if you're doing it downward, it's like there's just a little too much speed in the spring, and it just goes 1 notch too far past this, and I'm not sure why that is. except for, you know, what I explained. So that's kind of disappointing, but when you engage it, this is basically what you get. This one will come this direction, this one will go out here. So once engaged, this is what you get. You got blue lights pulsating right there, red lights on this side, same red lights over here. These right here, they stay lit solid just like they are, and they don't ever change. Now you've got motion. It does okay, but it doesn't do very good on the downward. As you can see, up is fine, down you don't get much, which is kind of weird. You'd think it would do it on both. Side to side is okay. Now if you go too quick, it just doesn't catch up. It stays behind. Now this is a melee weapon, so I wish it was a little bit more responsive. Now I know I'm saying a lot of I wish this and I wish that, but you know, when you pay $200 for something, you expect to get quite a bit out of it. So, you know, I'm not trying to diss it or bash it too much. I really like it, but it has just some things that I wish Hasbro had rectified before they brought it out. But like I said, the screws in it, they're really well hidden. There's really not many at all, and the ones that are there, I think, have something to cover them up so they're not too noticeable. The handle, you can't see it, you can hear it. It's vibrating, so it's kind of a neat little something that really only the user benefits from, I guess. It's kind of neat, but at the same time, if you're not gripping this handle tight, it vibrates kind of like a cheap cell phone when it's set to vibrate. So I wish they either just didn't include that or let you turn that off, because it's really unnecessary and it's kind of eating up battery. But it's not that big of a deal, really. This button here, like I said, if you press it, you'll get a sound effect. So I like that. It's like the sound of engaging. So if you go to spin it, if you can time it just right and press that, you have to do it right, and then it'll sound like it's engaging, like right when it flips back up under your arm. But there's a little bit of a delay. It's ever so slight, but it's not instant. So you almost, because the spin happens so fast, you've almost got to press it right when you start the spin, in order for it to actually be making a noise when the baton is engaged back under your arm. Takes some practice, but I finally was able to get it right. But I'm trying to get a good scale of it for you here. But like I said, if you want to get out a measuring tape and check it out, it's I think I said 21 inches long, so I think I said 3 feet, but that's actually a little under 2 feet. But like I said, it is, you know, they claim that it is life size, or a 1-to-1 scaled replica. So here's the various angles of it. Now, whenever you go to turn it off, this is where it gets a little tricky. You can't do it one-handed at all, and it's hard to do it with just setting in the air. You really need to like set it down onto something in order for it to work, or like prop it up against your leg. But you push in on it like this, and this one goes this way, and this one goes this way, and then you do like that. But see, the spring mechanism in here is really wonky. Sometimes it'll work, and sometimes you really got to force it. So it makes me wonder how long this is going to stand up for. You know, if you use it quite a bit, like, is it going to stand the test of time? Now I'm going to try and engage it downward and see what happens to it. And just like I was talking about, this is what it does, and this is the exact same thing that the other gentleman who's got one was explaining to me. His does the exact same thing. This bottom one engages fine, but this one, it's always been the problem one for me. It's always engaged incorrectly, so you can try and press it down and line it back up, but it doesn't ever click into position, and it just goes back. So the only thing that you can do when it does that is to just reset the whole mechanism. So you gotta put that one back down, put this one back down, and there it still doesn't want to go in. So I don't know, I'm kind of having some issue with that. There, it just doesn't feel exactly like a $200 item should. If you do it pointing outward, it does fine. That, or it doesn't. There you go. It did it again. See, so this is the issue I have with it. As a display piece, it's great. So, you know, if $200 is something you're okay with spending, which, you know, I collect some high-end stuff, and I know that in that market, $200 isn't always a lot. If you just want it as something to display, then it's not, you know, it might be worth it for that, because it is a prop replica. It is full size. It looks really good in a display. You can display it either way, but when you actually get down, right down to it, it doesn't function as intended. So that's the problem I guess I have with it. If you just want to display it, then you know it does fine, I guess, for that. If it's worth it. Now, I don't know, most of these Force FX items, they usually go on clearance at some point, and this could be the same. I don't know about distribution on this because it's expensive. I'm doubting Hasbro makes as many of these as they do other high-end Black Series items. So, you know, I don't know when it'll go on clearance, if it will, how low it's going to get. But I think they're going to have trouble selling, you know, a lot of them at that price point, especially if this is a more widespread issue and people start reporting it. You know, I don't know if people are going to want to spend that much money on something that doesn't work exactly right. We'll try doing it again. This time we'll do the safety off. But see, like, you can put it and it doesn't always want to stay. That's another thing. So there, it won't do it. Come on now. It's kind of like a balancing act. So we'll just try doing it straight out. Did okay that time. So now we go through this process of putting them back. And just as a side note, whenever I was doing it at first, I was a little confused if you had to hold it the whole time pressing in, but you actually don't want to, because you'll cause this little plastic piece here to clip this, and it will scrape against it. So you actually want to just do it initially and then let off of it and then just fold it. But this side just never wants to go in all the way for whatever reason. So now we'll try doing it in a downward motion. See what happens this time. Yeah, and there it does that again. And you know, it could be fine on the next time that I do it outward, and then it might not. It does okay that time, and the other time it didn't. So it's just hit or miss. That's the frustrating part about it. Is you're not exactly sure what it's going to do. It almost is. Pardon me. It's almost like it has a mind of its own. So you know, that it is what it is, I guess. Let me grab my measuring tape, because I want to make sure I get the dimensions on this right, because I know at home it's harder to get a good idea of size when you're watching a video. So in the the closed position, it's right at 24 inches long. So you've got 2 feet closed. Open. It actually did okay that time. Opening it, it looks like we're at around 33.5, almost 34 inches. So that's what, a little under 3 feet fully open. So like I said earlier, as far as I can tell, it is a 1-to-1 size from the one in the movie. So it's got that going for it, which means it looks good. If you want to display it like this, you can just set it like this, and then again in the box it does have the bigger piece. So there it is being displayed. Let's see if I can pan down a little. That's it being displayed like that. So it looks really good there. But of course, when you do have it in this configuration and you turn on display mode, the blue lights don't turn on. I wish they did, but only the red lights do, as far as I know. To turn it off, you press and hold down on this for 3 seconds. So if we turn it on, and again, it fully activated, but we don't want it to. Just trying to get it to do the display mode. The safety is on, so it's possible that it's only going to do that when it's closed up. You could display it either way, but so there's display mode, and it will stay this way for around 30 minutes and then it will turn itself off. But just as a reminder, like I said, just be careful, because sometimes if you press this button, even with the safety on, it's engaged because it's back. If you press it too hard, see, oops, knocked down part of my booth here. There it went again. So that is exactly what happened to me whenever I was doing it. I had safety on. I pressed it just a little too hard, and when I did, it engaged the prongs and it just wiped everything off the shelf, and it all fell into the floor. So, you know, to conclude, I wrote in my written review of it, I did it in a Q&A style because of the controversy surrounding the price on it. First thing I put on there is it worth $200? And I put simply, it's not. The materials aren't there, the build quality isn't there to justify a $200 price tag. But I did put, as a side note, value is subjective. So to somebody that needs this for cosplay, if you're not going to be doing a lot with it, if you're just going to be making a clip and clipping it to yourself, this looks better than any of the homemade ones I've seen. So for that purpose, you know, and it does work, you can extend it, you know, a couple of times. It's not, I think it'll be okay. For that purpose, for a high-end costume, not some, you know, inexpensive setup, but for like a 501st approved costume, then I think it could be okay. You could weather it, make it look better, maybe even make the spring mechanisms a little better. So for that, it could be worth it. For a collector who has a lot of other FX series lightsabers or master replica sabers and wants this for their collection, I don't think you're going to be able to find anything else at this price point that will look this good. So could be worth it for that. If you're just a casual collector and just, you know, we're wanting something like this in your collection, I think you could spend the money on better things. I don't see this appreciating in value, but I could be wrong on that. But I just don't think it has the build quality for it. But, you know, I'm not expert on that, so make of that what you will. If you want to buy it for your kids, definitely I wouldn't do that. I've got 4 kids of my own, but I don't think I would ever buy this for them because it is just not going to stand up to sparring or any type of rough play. I think you could get it, and if they knocked it against each other or the wall a few times, these prongs, they're gonna snap right off, and then, you know, there it goes. So, you know, it has benefits. It looks great, but it also has its downsides. So make of it what you will. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments or on my Facebook page for the channel, and I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. I hope the video has been informative. I'm sorry I was a little long-winded, but given the price of this, I just wanted to try and cover everything that I could think about it, as well as show you all of the issues that I found over using it for the last few days, which have been a little bit more than I was hoping for. I actually had some higher expectations for it, but it is what it is, and hopefully you can make an informed decision using the information that I've given in the video. If you don't care, it would be great if you could subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. That would help me a lot. Appreciate everybody, and I hope you have a good week coming up, and may the force be with you.